Welcome in the program debate. I am with your host Tariq Khan. Since the independence and creation of Pakistan in 1947, Kashmir is still suffering from severe violence, bloodshed and brutality by Indian forces, and still Kashmir issue is not resolved with peaceful talks. We will have a discussion on Kashmir issue and where the suspicions of resolution of Kashmir exist. Let me bring our guest in program, Professor Dr. Muhammad Khan from International Islamic University. You are the most senior professor. Sir, thank you so much for joining us and welcome in the program. The creation of Pakistan in 1947, since 73 years, severe violence, brutality and bloodshed by Indian forces in Indian occupied Kashmir has not been eliminated and not prevented yet. How would you express this long time real perspective of aggression by India in
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, first of all, for giving me an opportunity to talk on this very, very important aspect. Unfortunately, India has never accepted the reality that Pakistan is a reality. Pakistan is a nuclear country. Pakistan can survive itself. Pakistan has the capacity economically as well as politically, strategically and militarily. And there have been the mindset, a very, very different mindset in New Delhi ever since 1947, after the decolonization of subcontinent. And ever since 1947, India made all efforts to undo Pakistan. And this was amply clear once the Pakistani share of all the assets was not given to the new state of Pakistan. And remember that India was a successive state of the British India. Therefore, they had everything, including the military, economic resources, everything. Whereas Pakistan was to make everything anew. And immediately after independence, after Pakistan came into being, a war was imposed on Pakistan in the Kashmir theatre, and this was absolutely clear that Kashmir was to become part of Pakistan. It was the will of the Kashmiris. It was the partition plan, and more so, Jammu and Kashmir had the geographical contiguity with the Pakistan. But at that time, the Nehru, Patel, and for that matter, all Indian leaders, including the Governor General, British Governor General Lord Mountbatten, they indeed tried to undo Pakistan. They were expecting that Pakistan is going to be in crisis and the Pakistani leadership is going to request Indian leadership that take us back, make us part of the India. But that did not happen. And that's why after waiting, I would say for 2 months, they waged a war against Pakistan in the Kashmir. But despite that Pakistan was not having an organized army at that time, Pakistan made it possible. The people of Pakistan, the people of Azad Jammu and Kashmir for that matter now, and the masses, they made it possible that Pakistan would remain as a reality, and any efforts or all efforts which will be made in order to undo Pakistan or to harm Pakistan, those are not going to be successful in any way. So Pakistani made it possible for itself. Pakistan has survived many opportunities, many wars, many conflicts for that matter, and today with the grace of Allah Almighty, Pakistan is a country with a very strong message. Remember that strength of any country is its message, and apart from that, it has a very strong geographical location, which makes it relevant not only at the regional level but at the global level. Then Pakistan has armed forces which are number one in the world. Indian, US, Chinese, Russian, or the British armies or the European armies, they fight on the basis of their equipments. But the Pakistan army or the professionalism in the Pakistani military is purely indigenous, spirited, ideological, and I would say that has made this country, that has made this nation and the armed forces of Pakistan impregnable. I mean, no country, whether of any capacity, any caliber, would be able to have the aggression on Pakistan. And then again, with the grace of Allah Almighty, Pakistan is a nuclear country, which is a strong deterrent. And therefore today we can say with lot of proud that apart from the masses, apart from the geographical location, Pakistan has very strong armed forces and strategic capability which make it a viable state in the days to come in 21st century and the centuries to come.
Despite peace talks, negotiations, and more importantly, more significantly, comprehensively, UN Security Council resolution on Kashmir, the situation is becoming more complicated and challenging for the peace and stability in Kashmir. What is your analysis where the suspicions of Kashmir resolution
Indeed, this is a
exist?
conspiracy. It's a global conspiracy. And remember that if you look around all the colonial, the countries where there have been the colonial powers, it was Asia, it was Africa, you will find the issues. And unfortunately, we inherited this issue of Jammu and Kashmir. It was not Pakistan because Pakistan and Pakistani considered Kashmir as part of Pakistan, and so the Kashmiris. But unfortunately, it was India which took the issue, Kashmir dispute, because they invaded. Remember that invasion was from India. There was no invasion from Pakistan because Kashmiri in 1947 they fought for Pakistan. And today the Kashmiris of Indian occupied, illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, they are also fighting for the Pakistan. This is something absolutely clear and that should be known. And this is a fact which is known to everybody. And no country would like, I mean whether our friendly countries or those who are the rivals, that Pakistan should be strengthened. With inclusion of entire Jammu and Kashmir into the state of the Pakistan, you know that Pakistan is going to gain the further strength. Pakistani security lies in the Kashmir, entire Kashmir, Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir is part of Pakistan. Therefore, you know that this is an international conspiracy, as it was an international conspiracy we faced during 1971 and we lost half of Pakistan. But this time, definitely things are very different. We have a very competent and strong army. We have a very strong nuclear deterrence. But your question, the essence is that where lies the solution or the resolution of Kashmir issue, despite there are dozens of resolutions on this issue. Indeed, India and through some of the Indian alliance at that time in 1947, the Kashmir issue was dealt in Chapter 6 of UN Security Council, or the UN Charter for that matter. And Chapter 6 says that it doesn't indeed enforces the resolution. It is indeed a sort of you can say that once both sides they show their willingness for solution or for moving forward. The UN resolutions, particularly two resolutions of UNCIP, one is of 13th August 1948 and another is January 5, 1949. Both these resolutions of UNCIP, they ask for the plebiscite in the entire Jammu and Kashmir. And this plebiscite is indeed unbiased, it is impartial, and that was to be conducted by a United Nations organization. Pakistan willingly said that okay, go ahead, because Pakistan was sure that Kashmiris would be on its side. But it was India, once India learned that Kashmiris, they are not going to be part of it, despite Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was very close friend of Sheikh Abdullah, and that's what indeed later on there were the differences between Sheikh Abdullah and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, because even Sheikh Abdullah never wanted from the heart of Sheikh Abdullah, the people, that people of Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir, they are going to be part of the India. So unfortunately, Indian obduracy, Indian reluctance in this issue is the sole reason for not resolving the Kashmir dispute till to date after passage of 73 years. But apart from India, let me tell you that there are some of the international powers, the major powers, those who have their strategic interest, those who have their economic interest, and they have their political interest with India, and they would not like to ask India, they are not going to, they would not like to pressurize India for any resolution of the Kashmir. Otherwise, they understand that the natural solution of the Kashmir has to be as part of the Pakistan, as per the wish and will of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. And that's what the UN resolution warrants on toward the resolution of the Kashmir dispute.
India has removed the special status of Kashmir of Article 370 and 35A. Taking this into account, does India want to remove Kashmir issue in Security Council permanently?
Remember that removing Article 370 or undoing Article 370 and Article 35A from the Indian Constitution, it was the sweet wish and will of the India. These two articles, they were included in the Indian Constitution on behest of Sheikh Muhammad Abdullah. Sheikh Abdullah, indeed, he forced Nehru and then Indian Law Minister Dr. Ambedkar. Dr. Ambedkar refused that these clauses should be included in the Indian Constitution, but Nehru was persuaded by Sheikh Abdullah for a temporary connection of Kashmir and India. So, removing these clauses, these articles from the Indian Constitution, Kashmiris have no effect. Why Kashmiris were protesting against this? They were not protesting that restore the Article 370 and Article 35A. Indeed, they are just protesting that there has to be a way forward, there has to be a move forward, and Kashmir issue has to be resolved as per the wishes of the people of the Kashmir. And that is indeed the biggest demand of the Kashmiris. Kashmiris are least pushed that they should have any connection with India. Indeed, they don't want to have any connection. And let me tell you that Kashmiris of Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir, they are fighting against India, against Indian armed forces, against Indian Constitution ever since 1947. And had India been an acceptable entity to the Kashmiris, perhaps that would have not been the case. Today, the youth of Kashmir, particularly those who took birth after 1990, I mean with the onset of the new struggle, and they are not ready to accept the Indian Constitution. They don't want to be part of India. Therefore, India understands this. India practically has lost Kashmir. It is through occupation. And I would say that once India abrogated Article 370 and 35A on August 5, 2019, indeed it was a reoccupation of India in Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The first occupation was on 27 October 1947, and this was the second occupation. And today, India is having 1 million security forces in the Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and this makes Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir as the world's biggest battlefield. So they are under the siege, they are under the curfew, and they are totally locked down. Why? Because India is making demographic changes, and these demographic changes are not allowed as per 4th Geneva Convention, not allowed as per any provisions where the occupying power is occupying any other country or any other territory. Therefore, India can do anything for the time being under pressure, making use of its force, but Kashmiris are not going to accept it. And finally, the decision of the Kashmiris, Kashmir will be done as per the wishes of the Kashmiris. That is, I mean, it's a matter of time as a matter of fact.
Sir, what is the behavior of India and UN Security Council? Does India want to remove Kashmir issue from UN Security Council permanently? What do you think about this?
India, had it been the desire of India, India would have done it much earlier. And you must be knowing that after 1972, after Simla Accord of 2nd July 1972, India made many efforts at United Nations Security Council that Kashmir issue should be removed from the list because issue has become bilateral. But I think this is what the India is misperceiving. 1972 Simla Accord is between India and Pakistan, and nowhere in that accord it is written that Simla Accord would cancel all the UN resolutions. Therefore, despite Indian efforts of getting this Kashmir issue out of the UN agenda, India has not been a successful state. And very recently also, UN Secretary General has reiterated the resolution of Kashmir issue as per the UN resolution. And UN resolutions can only be removed through another UN resolutions by United Nations. India cannot undo it. And India is not an authority in case of the Kashmir. The true and the real stakeholder of the Kashmir, they are Kashmiris. And these Kashmiris, they are fighting against India, number one. Number two, the second stakeholder is Pakistan, because the Kashmiri want to be part of the Pakistan, which make Pakistan a very important stakeholder. Third stakeholder is India, because India is occupying Kashmir, and that makes the India an illegally occupied power, which indeed the Kashmiris, they are protesting against, they are fighting against, and Pakistan is pleading and pursuing the Kashmir case against the Indian illegal occupation. And fourth stakeholder of the Kashmir is China, because around 9,000 square miles of the Kashmiri territory is under China in the form of Aksai Chin. And then the most international institution which is also stakeholder of the Kashmir, that is United Nations Organization, because UN has to decide the Kashmir dispute as per its own resolution. Therefore, that is not very simple that India will get the Kashmiri resolutions out of the UN agenda or the UN Charter for that matter. That's not going to be done. That's impossible as a matter of fact. And Pakistan has to take a firm stance on this. Pakistan has to fight on this issue at the political level, at the diplomatic level, at the moral level. And let me tell you that until and unless Pakistan pursue Kashmir case, I don't think so that India will be able to do anything as far as the UN is concerned.
Sir, what role is being played by the US, China, Russia and other regional players on the Kashmir issue? What is your analysis?
Indeed, US is a country which would like to support India. US has its strategic agreement with India. US is against China, and for US, Kashmir is not important. For US, India is important. Why? Because making use of the Indian soil, making use of its strategic partnership with India, US would like to sort out China, US would like to contain China, US would like that to create problem for the China in this region. And that is rightly India is doing. Therefore, we have to understand the larger game. The larger game is that the major powers, they just take care of their own interests. They don't indeed, they cannot be dictated by the interest of Kashmiris, Pakistan for that matter. India indeed is trying to make it relevant for the future status of major powers. What Indian leadership is thinking, what Indian strategists they are thinking, what the Modi is trying to portray India. No, that will not be done. Reason being that India is highly a racist country. It is highly a country which is exploiting the communal factor in the India. It is exploiting the Muslims. It is exploiting Christians for that matter. That will not be done. But after all, by aligning with the United States of America and the Europe, India is trying to make it a relevant country in the number of future major powers. So that's why there is a collaboration and a strategic collaboration between United States, Europe and India is exploiting that. Regarding Russia, let me tell you that there was a time that Russia was very close to India during the period of the Cold War. No, Russians, they are not supporting India in that way. But definitely Russia has its stakes in India because Russia supplies weapons to India in mass number, I would say. Still, and Russian economy was weak and India was the buyer of the Russian weapon. And even today, a lot of spare parts, they are being bought from Russia by the Indian military, Indian Navy, Indian Air Force for that matter. So Russia is only selling its war products, its weapon for that matter, the munitions. Now coming over to the China. Yes, China is an important country because this is a regional country. Apart from the major power, it's a regional country. Chinese, they are looking forward that there should be a peace in this region because for the rise of the China, peace in the region is very, very important. And you have seen that once India tried to have aggression in the Aksai Chin area, Ladakh area, East Ladakh area, you have seen that China was very brutal in responding. And in return, China snatched hundreds of kilometers of the area of Aksai Chin, which was under the occupation of India, and now that is with the China. Therefore, the Chinese strategy is that go slow, consolidate, and indeed do not create a situation whereby that there is a war in this region. Because China understands that in case of the larger provocations, larger conflict, then that is amounting to inviting the United States in this region. Therefore, Chinese, they are going wisely, slowly, gradually in consolidating its gain. About Kashmir, let me tell you that it is the Pakistan. It is the Pakistan which has to fight because Kashmiris, they want to be part of Pakistan, and Pakistan is indeed the most important stakeholder. Pakistan has to take the lead. Pakistan has to pursue these major powers, international community, in order to bring the solution of the Kashmir, which is as per the wishes of the people of the Kashmir. And Pakistani security lies in the Kashmir. Pakistani solidarity lies in the Kashmir. And that's what indeed the Pakistan is doing. I think the Pakistani top leadership, it has been talking about the Kashmir in UN. Yesterday you have seen that it was Prime Minister talked about the peaceful resolution of Kashmir issue at the SCO forum also. Therefore, for the Pakistan, Kashmir is important. For the Kashmiris, it is Pakistan is important. Rest of the countries, I am not sure that they are going to side Pakistan. But what we have to do as a Pakistani, that we have to pursue international community, the major part, with a point of view, which is the Kashmiris' point of view, and which is indeed the real solution of the Kashmir.
Sir, what about the Turkey?
You know that Turkey is a country which is considered to be as a beacon of hope for the entire Muslim Ummah. But in this process, President Tayyip Erdogan is facing a lot of problems from three areas. One, from the countries, local countries, Arab countries, Muslim countries of the Arab, and they are not in line with the Turkish strategy of revival of the Muslims. That indeed is a drawback. Then the state of Israel is sweating, and the state of Israel is indeed creating a lot of problems for what Turkey indeed desires to have at sort of a, you can say, the resolution of the Muslim issues. And most of the Muslim countries of GCC, Arab world particularly, today they are siding with Israel, despite knowing that Israel is an illegal occupant of the Muslim state of Israel, Palestine. And then third issue which Turkey is facing, and that's most important, that though it is still a partner of European Union, I mean it is part of the NATO, not EU but part of the NATO, but it is facing a lot of problems as far as the United States is concerned. United States would never like a Muslim country coming up and taking over or taking up the issues of the Muslim world. Turkey's support for the Kashmir issue has always been there. Turkey has been the strong supporter of the Pakistan in all fields. And I would say today, Turkey is the only country which boldly, openly support the Kashmir cause, which openly and boldly support Pakistan. And in that regard, Turkey faced a lot of isolation also, a lot of problems also. But you know that Turkey is the only one country in this entire Muslim Ummah which is so bold and which is boldly supporting the cause of the Pakistan. Yes, another country, Iran, has been supportive to Pakistani cause, but unfortunately, there are some of the areas that Iran and India, they are also cooperating, and that makes Iran at times leaning toward New Delhi. But we are facing a lot of problem as far as the rest of the Arab world is concerned. They should have been more concerned about the Kashmir, about Pakistan, because Pakistan has always sided with the Muslim world on Palestine issue and all issues which the Muslim world, the Arab world faced in its history. It's not so with these countries. So what I told you earlier, that nothing to disappoint, but what need to do, that we need to consolidate. We need to indeed regain what we lost, and after that gain, we need to consolidate. And for that, indeed, we need to have the hectic efforts at political level, at diplomatic level, at economic level. Otherwise, there is no dearth as far as the competitive army or the professional army is concerned in Pakistan.
So many rumors that Pakistan has lost the Kashmir case in UN Security Council. What do you think? What is your analysis? Is Pakistan's contemporary Kashmir policy is successful or failed to raise the Kashmir issue in UN Security Council or in international community? What is your analysis?
Pakistan did not lose. Remember, Pakistan did not lose Kashmir case. No, it's not like that in UN. Yes, India has been a sort of a, you can say that it has done an aggression or occupation of the Indian occupied Kashmir again on 5th of August 2019, and that was the issue unfortunately, that you cannot move your forces straight away. I mean, your army cannot go over to get that area vacated. There are norms, global norms. That is the issue. But otherwise, Pakistan would never lose or will never leave the Kashmiris at large. Reason being that these Kashmiris, they are fighting to join Pakistan. Pakistan cannot afford losing the Kashmir, because Azad Kashmir is a very small part, and so is the Gilgit-Baltistan. The bulk is there, Ladakh. Bulk is there in the form of Wadi, I mean the Vale of Kashmir, and then bulk is there in the form of Jammu province. So Kashmir overall, I would say that it is very important for the security of the Pakistan. Pakistan cannot afford. It is going to be I would say that misperception that Pakistan has lost the case on Kashmir. Pakistan has not lost. And more so, let me tell you, the right of self-determination is embedded. This is essential part of United Nations Charter. And this right of self-determination is very much there in the two main UN resolutions. That is United Nations Security Council resolution. It is there in the UNCIP resolution. And particularly, let me mention two other resolutions. And these are one resolution of 1951. This is UN resolution, UNSC resolution number 91. And there is another resolution of 1957. And this is UNSC resolutions of 122. These two resolutions are very, very important. And let me tell you that what is the crux of these two resolutions. They are the same resolution. I mean, UN resolution of 1957 is the reiteration of the UN resolution of 1951. These two resolutions says that India, our national conference at that time was ruling party in the Indian occupied Kashmir. They cannot make a change in the current status of Kashmir. I mean, the resolution clearly says that issue of Kashmir, the Kashmir dispute has to be resolved as per the wishes of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, in line with UNCIP resolutions of 1948 and 49. So unilaterally, India cannot change the status of Kashmir. Therefore, whatever India has done on 5th August 2019, that is violation. That is violation of these two resolutions. That is violation of all UN resolutions. So my question is that United Nations Security Council, at least UN Security Council, should defend and protect its own resolution. Because if UNSC is not going to protect and defend its own resolution, then credibility of United Nations Security Council and credibility of United Nations organization is going to be nowhere for the people of Kashmir, for Pakistan, and even for rest of the world, because it means that it's a might is right. So Pakistanis and Kashmiris, they are not going to accept anything like that. Nor indeed Pakistan can lose the Kashmir case. What we need to do, let's gear up. Let's indeed cheer up. Let's move forward. And how to move forward? We have to move forward politically. Our diplomatic corps, which is everywhere in the world, they need to pursue the Kashmir case. For that, they need to do a lot. The Kashmiri stance, the massive human rights violations which have taken place, the massive demographic changes which are taking place in Kashmir, and everything has to be told to the world capitals, the diplomatic community of their host countries. They have to pursue the Kashmir case there and pave the ground for the political leadership, so that the subsequent step should be of the political leadership, the Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister, and the other minister. And ultimately they should convince the international leadership, the global leadership, that peace in this region cannot be restored until and unless Kashmir issue is resolved. And Kashmir issue is not matter of you can say that piece of land. Indeed, it is the right of self-determination of the people. And the right of self-determination is secured in United Nations Charter. It is secured in UN Security Council resolution on Kashmir. And Kashmiris would not rest. Kashmiris would not compromise anything less than their right of self-determination. And the same case is with the people of the Pakistan. The 210 million people of the Pakistan, they are not going to compromise. It should be known to everybody that 210 million Pakistani, and over, I would say that over 4.7 million people of Azad Kashmir, 2 million people from the Gilgit-Baltistan, and 12.7 million population of Indian occupied Kashmir. They are not going to compromise on Kashmir. India cannot do it, nor United Nations Security Council can do it, because after all, still the norms, the UN Charter, the UN as a headquarter, regulating headquarter, they have to make it their survivability. They have to make their relevance, and they will be only relevant once they will be focused on the Kashmir issue, once they will give their Kashmiris their right of self-determination, and indeed that is the only way forward for rest of the world, for India, and we Pakistani need to work for that. We should not compromise at all. No compromise on Kashmir. Tarak.
Sir, thank you so much for your precious and valuable analysis on Kashmir issue, and thank you so much for your time. We have learned so many facts and realities. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Thank you so much.